Welcome to Brain Friends, where two neuro nerds talk all things aphasia, language recovery, culture, and community. I am Dr. Davetrina Seles Gadson, a clinical speech-language pathologist and neuroscientist.
And I am Angie Cauthorn, stroke survivor and aphasia advocate.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to Brain Friends.
We want to thank all of our listeners for downloading the podcast. We appreciate everyone listening, so please tell a friend to tell a friend that we are here.
And we are. Yes. I want to know, how long does it take to become a speech language pathologist?
That's a great question. So for undergraduate studies, that's 4 years. And so now the way it works is you can finish your undergraduate studies of 4 years and be considered a speech language pathology assistant. And then for your full speech language pathology license, you have to do 2 more years as a master's student. So it's a total of 6 years to become a speech language pathologist.
Wow. That's a long time. I mean, at that point, another 2 years, you can become an MD.
Oh, I know. I didn't know that.
No, I'm asking. Okay. See, first of all, don't assume y'all. You can't be just posting what I say. That everything I say is a question.
Everything I say is a question.
Be like, oh, that's what Angie said. No, it's not. I am asking. Well, I'm just saying, after 6 years, it would seem to me. Well, I guess now let me ask you another question then, because I have so many questions about being a speech language pathologist. Yeah. When you go into that discipline, do you find that most people went to school thinking, I want to do speech and language, or they had another discipline and the brain just kind of sucked them in?
Yeah, so I've actually heard this story 2 different ways, or many different ways, the way, people's trajectory goes to be a speech language pathologist. So for me, I knew right off that I wanted to do it. Growing up, I was always teased as a child as far as the way that I spoke. And so I know. So I knew that I wanted to do something that could help people speak. Cause, at that age, I was like, oh, well, if you picking on me, I must be doing something right. You mad because you kicked it. Right, exactly. So I knew I wanted to do something that helped people speak. And I also know that I get bored really, really easily. So I knew that doing like broadcast journalism or something like that wouldn't work for me. But I also knew that I didn't like children like that to do speech therapy.
Like that in that personal
I like
way. I prefer Turks and Caicos much more. That's what I'm hearing.
Don't come after me. I think children are beautiful and they're God's blessing, obviously. But when it comes to like therapy, I was raised military. So I think that my personality is a little bit more straightforward. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that I wanted to work with adults. And I love the brain. And so I think that some people get into it knowing that's what they want to do. I've also heard that people have experiences. So maybe a loved one or a family member might have needed a speech pathologist, either because of a stroke or because of a stutter as a child, or, not being able to say certain things. And so then that interests them into going into the field as well.
Wow. Yeah, because it's so interesting of why and how fast your brain picks up a word and what it takes for a word to get from a thought to your brain, to your jaws, to your mouth, through your tongue, to your voice. Like, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing
and
that I think people
so
take for
quickly.
granted. Exactly.
Yeah, until you have aphasia and all of a sudden it's like you think you can do these things and then it's just kind of taken. Like, you didn't even know it could be taken. Mm-hmm. That's the violation. It's something is gone that you didn't even know could be taken.
Yeah. And I think that's why for me, getting into rehabilitation was so important than, helping children, be able to say it in the beginning. For me, it was just something that speaks to me of working with individuals that once could do it, and then now that they can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or now they're having trouble. And so I also think there's a different level of drive and motivation that kind of comes with that because you want to get better.
Right. And if you don't know, if for a child that's never been able to say the word cup on demand, they don't know it's missing.
Right.
Where the adult will know it's missing, will remember, and will want to revert back to when everything was okay.
Right.
We wound up trying to be our old selves, you know what I mean? But there is some beauty in realizing that I'm still the, like my girl, Denise Mendez said, Dr. Mendez, she said, I'm still the wonderful me.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm still the wonderful me. So, don't get it twisted. But as for the children versus the adult thing, you're absolutely right. I can appreciate you want to help people kind of get themselves back on track, not necessarily get on track.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
And so the thing that I also always loved
restorer.
about, you said what?
You are the restorer.
Ooh, I receive it.
Yes.
I receive it. I think that that's the thing that I've always enjoyed about being a speech language pathologist is the diversity that comes in the types of people that you work with.
Okay.
So, you have some speech language pathologists that specialize in swallowing. And so helping individuals that have difficulty swallowing or like dysphagia, or you have some that might specialize in voice and helping individuals that might have voice disorders, some that specialize in aphasia, or, it's just whatever floats your boat. I think you're able to do it.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been a licensed SPL?
Yeah, so
SLP. Which one? I forget.
Yep, SLP. Yep.
You gonna let me live? You ready? You gonna let me rock?
I knew what you were talking about. I've been a licensed speech language pathologist for over 14 years. Don't let the baby face fool you.
I see it every time. And I'm like, you ain't been doing that for no 14 years, girl. You ain't nothing but you've been cheerleading for about 14 years. I'm like, I'm about to go all auntie on you. Like, girl, you ain't been doing nothing for no 14 years.
Yes.
Well, first of all, looking fabulous. But yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. But I think when you look at the SPLs, it is such a, just like you think occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy is always like the little brother in the back that doesn't get all the play he should. But that's the one you really need, because I need to be able to tell the occupational therapist and the physical therapist what's wrong.
I love that. Look, run that back, Mr. Editor of this podcast, one more time.
Exactly. I mean, seriously, communication is the most important thing. So how is that get on the back burner?
Insurance.
Well, that too. Yeah, they're ridiculous. And I have to say, when my husband was helping me get my speech therapy together, that was the last thing, because the insurance was not, and luckily my husband works for a large insurer, and he's in charge of booklets and contracts, so he understands how it works. Mm-hmm. And he was able to get on the phone in my behalf and say, no, I know this, and this is, he was using all the capitation and all the little, insurance buzzwords, and got me in. But they were like, oh, well, you just have to keep waiting. And it was definitely about a month, at least a month.
It was a month before you got your speech and language therapy?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was definitely
as an outpatient.
As an outpatient. I stayed when I had the strokes. I had them both the same night, but I didn't have to stay in the hospital very long. They sent me for outpatient therapy, and I got out of that hospital within 2 days. I was on
Wow.
my feet in 2 days.
And if you notice that's often how it happens, especially the point that you were walking, physical therapy really drives the rehabilitation force and, occupational therapy as well. And so
Hmm.
I think it's beautiful that you were able to and they look at it because of safety measures.
Yes.
They're more concerned. Obviously, if you slip and you fall and you have to come back to
Right.
the hospital, then that's a higher cost versus you having trouble expressing yourself.
Yeah. And I agree with that even as the patient. And people say, well, they didn't tell me I had aphasia or I'd never heard of it. And what it is, in my humble opinion, we're being hit with so much information. The fact that I can't talk really good right now is the least of my problems because I can still think okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I can't name everybody in this picture that I'm looking at. I think I can. I have no idea I can't add something up with a calculator. Even though I may be able to realize in some small way that looks weird. I can't really grab all that information. But I just had a stroke, so of course. But you don't know how much of that is going to be long standing. You're thinking this is a temporary fog you're in.
Yeah.
Until you're living in this murky, these murky waters for the next 5 years.
Right. So let
That's
me
the real
ask
reason.
you, talk to me about your first experience with a speech language pathologist. Like, what was it like? What characteristics of that speech language pathologist did you find were helpful, and what was not helpful?
My speech lady was first of all, she was very nice. It was even, I would say, even her office looked like the medical profession did not value what she was bringing. Like her office,
Wow.
she did her office the best she could. Let me just say the speech language pathologist herself was very nice, was very on her game, and she did and I don't want to put everybody's business in the street, but she gave me extra time. She would
Mm-hmm.
take her lunch because she was like, I think we can actually get some real gains with you, but I don't have enough time with you. So come 1:45 rather than at 1, and let's get that
Wow.
extra 15 minutes in.
God, that's so beautiful.
And she worked with me, and I probably was not the best client. I think she did more psychology work with me. I think where I probably should have had a counselor. She took that time with me on the regular basis. I have shed more tears in that speech pathology office than anywhere else because that's where I realized the things I couldn't do. And you're on full display. You're on full display, and when somebody you don't, like I said, there's so many things you don't know what you don't know until you're forced to name a cup. You don't know. You can't say cup. It's really that pervasive. I don't even know if that's the word I want to use, but it's that diabolical that you don't even know. That's the part that I really want to convey to people. We really do believe we can do these things, that these things are just going to be fine, because the thought in my head is insanely clear, but it just doesn't come out that great. So, but yeah, she was good people. She was really nice. But one thing I didn't, I, and I know why now, but it felt so remedial, but then I
Mm.
couldn't do it. And so then that hurt my feelings. So then that made me not want to go.
When you say remedial, um, I, I want to ask you what you mean before I give you what I think I've kind of seen in the field
Okay.
that feels remedial.
What I mean when I say remedial, s- rep- say the alphabet. Um, say spell pancake. Count this change. Things like that. That I'm like, what do you mean say the alphabet? Of course I can say the alphabet. Don't insult me. Um, and then I can't get past E. Eek, eek. Uh-oh. So so now that's comes to me being on full display and exposed.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I couldn't do it. So now I was mad that you asked me, and now I'm embarrassed that I can't. Enter depression. Welcome to the show, depression.
We
You
are
know
not
what I
happy
mean?
you are here.
Yeah. Right.
I find that that type of task with saying the alphabet, saying the days of the week, those are automatic speech tasks. And so when I used to work as a clinical supervisor, I would always, in training the master level clinicians, I would always express to them the importance of telling the client what you are doing and why you are asking them to do something, giving them that rationale, providing them that. And it's especially important with adults because these are individuals who used to be able to do these things. And so if you're just saying, tell me the alphabet, then of course I might, feel some kind of way because I got real problems going on here. I don't need to be reciting no alphabet.
Right.
But I think that that's an opportunity of growth for speech language pathologists because so much of our field, in my opinion, is geared toward children and even within that therapy space. And so I think sometimes clinicians begin to provide therapy services in the same manner and decor that they might a child, which is just do this versus me tell you. And so,
or having me be an active participant.
There you go. Or having you be an active participant. And I think it's important to everybody listening, but also just in case no one shared this piece with you, is that when someone's asking for those automatic speech tasks like the alphabet, counting, it's really helpful because your brain doesn't have to think about that. And so that really gives us an insight into that level of fluency that you have and kind of, in some instances, may even set you up for success because your brain just kicks into autopilot, like 1, 2, 3, versus having you name something. Your brain is then searching for where that information has been filed in your brain, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense because I live in my file cabinets and I used to describe like information that I could not get to. I remember I asked my neurologist, I said, well, listen, I'm maybe 6 months post-stroke. And I asked her, I said, well, listen, when I look for information in my brain, I'm going to give you an analogy. It's like I'm going to my grandmom's house. Is it that I can't find my grandmom's house, or is the GPS taking me to grandmom's and grandmom's house is just not there? And she said, grandma's house is just not there. It's been a tsunami. It's washed away. You have to rebuild it. And I was like, okay, bet. I have my marching orders now. Because other than that, I'm just searching around for grandmom's house. Hopefully that resonates and somebody can pick up on that analogy. I'm driving around Wilson, North Carolina. Shout out to Wilson. Out at grandmom's house. Okay, Nash Street, the house. But I'm coming through and I know where the house is, but it's like I'm parked in front of the house and it's flat. Like the whole block is flat. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is where I'm supposed to be, but the information is not there. Mm-hmm. And the way that would feel is the way people with aphasia feel a lot of the time, because we really think it's going to be there. We turned down that street like we're going to grandmom's, and the house is just decimated. So now I have to first of all get my plot of land and rebuild. But I really had no idea it wasn't going to be there. So now I have a nice house there. It's a lovely deck. That's the way I like to think of it. I'm just building, I'm just trying to get that back, or not get it back, but rebuild. And then that's a whole nother realization of, we're not looking for it, we're rebuilding it.
Right.
That's a whole nother transition that a person, I believe, has to make in order to be successful. Is to just realize, we didn't ask for this, but we're here.
Right.
There's no going backwards. There's only going forward. This journey is all forward, no back. It's like an 8-track tape. You can't rewind this, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So then let me ask you, what, still thinking about speech language pathologists, and I'm so glad that you had a positive experience. What's something that you would want to share from a space of, please stop that? So sometimes people say, I've heard where it bothers people with aphasia. I've heard it bothers them if a speech language pathologist is like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. And so they might say, please stop that. Please stop telling me it's okay.
Right. It's the patronizing.
Yeah. So what's something for you that you would say, please stop that. Let us know.
It would be take your time thing that they, it's like, it's almost, it's just the mankind. So I don't want to tell them not to be kind or not to lend encouragement, but because we are adults, what can be encouraging to an 8-year-old can be demeaning to a 40-year-old, or a 50-year-old. So it's about, how do we bridge that gap and not, but then you don't want to sound like you're being mean to a person either, because we are definitely in a vulnerable state. So we need a little more comforting. But I would say, when you're talking and they're like, okay, take your time. Take your time. You have no idea what I'm talking about, and you're just nodding your head like you do. It's annoying. Mm-hmm. And I know you don't know what I'm saying because I can hear myself. Mm-hmm. It's not like I don't hear what I'm saying, or I'm drunk and I don't know what I'm saying. I'm talking. No, I know exactly what I want to say. I know exactly the words are not coming out of my mouth. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting here nodding your head like a bobblehead. And I'm like, I know good and hell well you don't know what I'm saying.
Lady, not a bobblehead. Not a bobblehead, Angie.
Don't give me bobblehead.
Don't give me bobblehead.
Don't.
Wait, so is it the intonation or the tone that seems condescending, or the words?
It's the tone.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. One, I am somewhat milder in aphasia, and I'm very careful not to speak on, I try to keep it real simple to my experiences, because for some my fellow Aphasians, that might work. They might need that coddling. They might need that extra support, that atta girl, that atta boy. It's like I had a youth group, and I would hug a kid, and my thing was, you don't know if this might be the only hug this kid gets all week from me at church. I don't know. You want a hug? I'll give you a hug. So you never know. Some kids didn't need that hug. They just needed a good pound, nice hand slap, and keep it pushing. So, everyone is different, but try not to be condescending.
Yeah.
That's is the key. And when you're working with children, that's another thing about my speech lady's room, her office, it was definitely geared for children. I'm sitting in this blue chair with my knees in my chest. Come on now. And I'm short, so I'm vertically. I like to go with vertically challenged, not short, because words matter. Right. But right, so I'm sitting here with my knees.
Though the setting, yes,
right. Yeah. I'm sitting here. I'm like, can we get a plant? It's all kinds of. It's just kid stuff all over the room, so that makes you feel like I'm not even in the right place.
Right. I think that might have just saved a lot of people. So if you feel like your toes were just stepped on, then that means
I'm talking to you.
To elevate. You're right. To elevate that space.
Please.
Well, so 2 more things real quick, because we're almost out of time. One thing that I definitely have to draw attention to, and I want to know how you feel or any information. So the field of speech language pathology is 96% white. And a lot of my work, I look at health disparities and even disparities related to physician race concordance. And for you, was that something that you noticed? Have you had a Black speech language pathologist? Do you feel like there is something to having someone look like you, help you through this space? What are your thoughts about that?
The thing that makes you the unicorn, and why I reached out to you before you got to call me, because I had never seen a African American Black speech person for language. I haven't. I like to think it would have made a difference. But the space itself, the disparities are prevalent. I mean, you see it, and it is. I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry. Ask the question again.
Yeah. No, so I was asking if you find that, with physician race concordance, basically having someone that looks like you be part of your healthcare, be part of your therapy, your rehabilitation. Did you find that in your experience, given the field of speech language pathology is 96% white.
And I'm Black, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Did you find that to be a challenge?
Actually, I didn't know any different.
Okay.
So I didn't. And I still haven't had any Black people taking charge in a medical way. So no, I don't know any different. So I can tell you what, I don't have I've never had a Black SPL. So it's hard for me to say how I would feel either way.
Yeah.
Because because it's 96%.
Right. Well, the last thing I want to do, I have a sentence and I just want you to complete it for me.
Okay.
And then I'll complete it too.
All right. I'm ready.
So to be alive is to
give honor and glory to God.
Won't he do it?
Doing it right now.
Yeah. Okay, well, you ask me now and see if that sentence completion is the same.
See, you go thinking I can repeat stuff. You better say it again, and then I can say it right after you. I don't even know why
I love it. I love it.
I'm not even trying. What's the sentence, baby?
To be alive is to...
To be alive is to...
walk in your purpose and passion.
Yes, Queen. Yes. Walk in your greatness. Walk in your greatness.
Yes.
I am a champion.
I am a champion. All right.
I am here for all of it.
Yes. Well, that's episode 3. And I know it's flying by.
It has been a great great things are happening. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for downloading, and thanks for spending this time with us. We are the Brain Friends.
Brain Friends.
Ah!
Bye.
Peace, y'all.